Hello and welcome to another episode of the Course Creators Podcast. My name's Sarah Cordiner, and today we have a friend of mine and a member of the Concept Course program, Shoden. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm really excited and a bit nervous, but yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Throwing you in the deep end. It's so funny. So Shoden and I were actually just having a Facebook chat yesterday, and Shoden's in the space that we are all in right now. Shoden, you're going to tell us a bit more, but you're working in the field of working with digital entrepreneurs, people who are creating digital products and programs, and you help people in a number of different ways in terms of getting their profile and expertise out to the world, building an online presence, but also how to market digital products as well. So we're going to hear a bit more about that. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about some of the tips that Shoden has and how you've got out there and built your community, because you do have a very decent following already, which is very impressive. So I was on there chatting away to Shoden just yesterday at the time of recording this call, and I was like, Shoden, you've got it. Let's just get on the podcast. Let's have a chat. And we're also, you very bravely volunteered to share your journey, your course creation journey. You're putting together your own digital products and programs, your own online courses, coaching programs, subscription academy is all starting to come together at the moment, which is why you're on Concept Course. What really struck me was your style of learning. And I love this so much. I'm teaching people course creation. I'm teaching people that there are many different ways that we can learn. There's many different ways that we can teach our students, and many different methodologies that we can present to them to help them retain the information, implement that information, and hopefully, more importantly, get results from that information. Now, your style of learning is really cool. You're very much what I see as the kinesthetic, experiential type learner. Like, you're a doer, man. You're an absolute doer for a start. What you've achieved in the first 6 days of Concept Course already is very impressive. But what I love is that part of Concept Course, obviously, is we get you guys to do live streams every single day in the secret group so that you can practice your skills on camera, which you've already mastered very, very well, I might add. But you have actually been doing kind of like a video diary and a live video recording of your activity through the learning process. And I find this so cool. Why have you chose that method? It's really interesting.
For me, actually, back in college and most of my formal education life, I tend to actually learn things when I'm having fun and also making a fool out of myself in front of a lot of people. So you might say that I'm sort of a masochist, but I think it's one of the ways that I actually get myself accountable for people, because I've learned so far in my journey that I'm not really the super like everyday super motivated type of guy. I actually procrastinate a lot, and it's something that I'm still always working on. But I notice when there's like a challenge or something at stake or something that I have to say in front of people, it's usually working for me. So I tend to do that route. So that's why I'm trying to put myself in front of the camera these days. So yeah, that is how I figured out the best way for me to learn things.
It's amazing. And I think that, there's something that we can all learn from that as people who are going out to work in the digital online space. We have to be present. We've got to turn up. We've got to put our face on camera. We've got to learn to be able to eloquently put one sentence in front of the other in a way that's going to be entertaining or informative to people. And the only way we can get good at that is by practicing it ourselves. So I really love that you're literally practicing the skill at the same time as learning a new skill yourself. It's really, really cool. So let's learn a bit about you. Tell us about what is it that you do? What do you help people with? And how did you get into it?
So it's actually a little bit of a longer story, but over time I've sort of learned to condense it. So right now I help high ticket course creators scale their programs, especially those that have very, big life changing types of programs. I gravitate towards those because I'm really, helping people to not just sell stuff, but also to change lives. So what I do is help them scale basically with YouTube strategy and then now YouTube ads. So I just finished a program for YouTube ads. But yeah, I'm an editor and also a former filmmaker. Not really former, I still do it, but because of COVID, you can't really just go out and shoot and work with people. I actually had several canceled projects just at the start of the pandemic, and that felt really, really bad. I felt down, but the great part about it is that I'm really, really mercifully grateful that I was able to transition a few years ago just by learning digital, starting to learn digital from being an offline videographer and offline filmmaker. So yeah, that's sort of my journey so far. But yeah, I'll tell you more about it if if you have enough time.
Love it. Now, I am really, really, really intrigued about working a bit more with you in the space of YouTube ads for digital entrepreneurs. This is a space for me. I'm just moving into the paid ad world now. A lot of people are like,
Oh
"Why
yeah,
are you doing paid?"
I saw it. Yeah, so it's
You're really
amazing
just
that
starting.
you were able to build up such a big following without ads. I was like, I was so, because I found out about you through Rob, and Rob is a person that I also started to work with and started to help in the Philippines because he's the evangelist for TubeBuddy, but I'm gonna sort of help him over here with the marketing stuff. So yeah, I was super amazed that 32,000 people so far, even before ads. That's just like super validation, everything. Like I'm so impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, thank you. And it's cool. I've always been anyone who obviously listening to the podcast or watching the video here who's known me for a while will know that I'm a massive, massive advocate of content marketing and organic marketing. I very much have built my entire business on that. I've pulled 7 figures into this business very, very comfortably, 32,000 students without ever spending a single cent on paid ads. And now I've got, woo, I'm taking it. And this is where for me, it was a big process getting the structure together, getting the website, creating a blog, finding out what questions my audience were asking on Google, what were they typing into YouTube to find videos about, and doing that research over a long enough period of time, building up a list of my target audience by offering them a free lead magnet that matched those search terms, that was answering those questions they were typing in. And then when they join my email list, asking them again, what is your biggest question about my topic right now? Fill in the form here. So I've got people to fill in surveys. So I'm literally constantly getting questions from my audience that they want me to answer for them. So now over time, I've got the blog posts. In fact, my business partner here, Sybil, and I were just going through our end of month analytics from the last month. And we are seeing now that over 70% of our website traffic comes from organic Google searches.
Wow.
And the largest majority, second to that, are people going to YouTube and typing in questions in YouTube, and my YouTube videos coming up, and that leads them into my lead magnet, onto my website, and into my ecosystem. Now, all of that's working really, really well. I've proved my system works. I've got all my courses and programs that I now upsell people to. And now we've got the business into a place where we truly can accept unlimited scale without us having a complete breakdown, and that's why I've taken a long time getting the systems, the structures, the flows, the funnels absolutely smick. So now we're like, do you know what? If we had 200,000 people join today or per hour,
Oh my God.
Sybil might have a meltdown, but we're in a position to make that scale. So now I'm going, right, now it's time to turn the ads on. So at the time of recording this, I've only had some Facebook ads on for a few months. We've put down about $20,000 to $30,000, and we are making profit now. It's working. We've done our testing, and we're getting ready to scale up to sort of 10 grand a day in our ad spend.
Wow,
my next challenge on the list, because we're doing our strategic planning for 2021 right now, is looking at the YouTube ads. So I'm going to be knocking on your door, Shoden, very soon.
It's super exciting. Yeah.
So tell me. Yeah, you've got someone like me, and a lot of the people listening are like, right, I know that YouTube ads are going to be awesome if I get it right. But what is right? How do we know if we're ready to go to YouTube ads? Why should we do them? I mean, should I do this, Shoden, or should I save my money? Why should I do YouTube ads?
Well, for me, not just because it's a great pleasure for me to be able to actually work with you, but we actually have 3 or 4 main criteria for people who do want to work with us. So it's a very specific process because number 1 is that you have to have other ad platforms to be working on. So for example, if you're doing well on Facebook, then that's a good sign, because you know how scale is a big value for you, and that's the thing that you're going for now. So somebody who has a good sort of ROI or ROAS on Facebook, that's somebody that we're looking for. That's somebody that's perfect. And also, because YouTube is a video-centric platform, it's actually a video-only platform, because that's how you get on YouTube in the first place. we are looking for a person with a very nice on-screen personality. So it's a very specific kind of thing. You just can't just do ads with us because our process is for coaches and coaches with programs that are actually from $1,000 and up. So those are the minimum. So if you're a person who has a great on-screen register, and I know that you have that so much in spades, so that's actually working. And then for us also, there is a testing period because our process is basically to layer the targeting for your audience. Because in YouTube and in Google, because Google owns search right now, like the whole space, the intentionality of people is there. For example, if you go to Facebook and you're looking for how to create online courses, you're not really going to Facebook for that because the system of Facebook is built on the news feed. So it's built on this wall of text or photos or ads that come, and actually you have to scroll through, and sometimes if it's a great ad, you stop because it's a great ad, and you exactly are doing that right now in Facebook. But people aren't actually searching how to create an online course. So the intentionality is going to be found through Google. So it's Google search. And what happens when you do Google search is that if you type those same keywords, the top ranking videos on YouTube will actually be populated up top, right? You notice that Google will like to serve videos too because they know that videos convert the most versus text or versus just a simple blog post. So you're actually getting in on top of search just because you have a video that's, if you like when you talk to Rob with TubeBuddy with those keywords like planting in all of those planning things, then you're situating yourself in the position where, okay, I want to learn about creating online courses, and then who's coming up? So if you also have ads for that, then it's much better because you're actually number one, and then the organic search is below you. So that's
So
how.
even if, for example, then, there's a competitor that has videos that's got way more views and likes than yours, for instance, if you're paying for an ad, you beat them, you come up on top of them. Is that what you're saying?
That's one of the things that you can do with ads, because of course if there are people competing in your space, there's going to be as usual, like in Facebook, the auction. So you're going to be auctioning for that. But the great thing about it is, here's a thing that not a lot of people actually know. If you have a very tight YouTube channel with a lot of data and a lot of information about your audience, like YouTube knows who you're actually serving. It actually mixes that with the ads that you're working on, because the Google ad platform, of course, Google ads and then YouTube ads. When you have YouTube ads, they actually take into account who you are, so your basic existence on the internet, which is a kind of creepy because of Google, because but but
Kind of
for
cool if you're an advertiser.
kind of cool for us, yeah. So it literally takes into account who you are and what you watch, who you are and what you watch. So those intersects between who you are. So, oh, I am a person living in this, and I actually have this kind of, I visit these sites. So Facebook does not know what kind of sites that you visit, because their targeting
Only
is based
within that platform.
on
Yeah.
interests. Yeah. So interests, they can probably do income and demographic, age, because that's also one of their strong points. But they don't really know what you do online, basically. So that's
Whereas
a big
Google
difference.
does. Yeah. So it's much more
Google
good at better at targeting then. So what you're saying is like,
creepily does,
yeah,
yeah.
so a real good reason for YouTube ads is you get much more
Mhm.
targeted, focused delivery to your target audience.
Yeah.
What about the cost? Because obviously, I'm only just dipping my toe into this Facebook ads world at the moment, and it's going very
Mhm.
well. But obviously, to get there, we had to risk,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
losing some money, or
Mhm.
to do the experiments, to do the research, to do the testing, to find out what worked. And some of the clicks, depending obviously on the interest we put down, however targeted we wanted to get,
Mhm.
some of them are $20 up to $60 a click, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
What sort of comparison are we looking at when it comes to the Google ads or the YouTube ads kind of space? Is it within the same kind of margins, or is it generally more or generally less expensive doing advertising?
So for YouTube and Facebook, it's usually easier for Facebook to get your ad set up. So the the setup for an ad inside of Facebook is much faster than it is on YouTube um, because of the metrics that you have to actually link to inside of Google. Like there's a whole lot of things that you can search, but it's a little bit more complicated. So that's why we always recommend people to get their toes dipped into ads, whatever type of platform. Could be LinkedIn, could be any kind of ad network, just so that they know how ads can work for them. But for YouTube, if you want to actually start with YouTube, it's a bit more, how you say, expensive upfront, because there's a lot of testing that needs to happen first. So you're actually layering. So what we do in the process is we layer the characteristics that you have and the audience that you have, and we do some tests. So think about it as like a you're throwing darts on a board, right? So you have several ad sets, and you know, because you're doing Facebook ads, several ad sets you're throwing it on a board, and for every test you have, you throw it, and the next thing is you're trying to get closer and closer to your target market. So that's why there is a testing period that we do for our own process, to make sure that it makes the ads scale much better. So YouTube is actually more of a scaling thing, because the thing that makes it cheaper in the long run, so not cheaper upfront, is that you can actually have longer lasting ads on YouTube. You'll notice that on Facebook, because it's an interest-based platform, you'll notice your ads fatiguing much faster. So if you're just doing it for I think you mentioned only just a couple of months,
Couple of months, yeah.
you don't really feel it that much yet. But if you go at it longer, you'll notice your ads are fatiguing faster than if you were doing it on YouTube. So you'll notice if you surf on YouTube, you'll see some ads that have been there for like super long, and that's fine, because they're still making money, because there's every single day there's a new video that comes up on YouTube, and it's a possibility, it's the space for an advertiser to put their ad in front of their video, right? Unlike in Facebook, you're scrolling through the stream, through the newsfeed, and there's only so much of inventory on that feed. That's why sometimes people actually serve the same ad to you multiple times on Facebook as opposed to YouTube. So that's the biggest difference. It's really the buyer intent between Facebook and YouTube ads. So yeah, let's say you're selling a course about how to make money online. So this is a very big topic, right? You can make money online by teaching people. You can make money online by doing stocks, or whatever it is. So the person will have a higher tendency to click on your ad. For example, if they're on a video that's ranking high, even if it's not your video, even if it's somebody else's video on YouTube. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
was going to say,
that's
this is one of the coolest things that I'm really most excited about YouTube is, unlike Facebook ads where, you pay, you put your ad up, you target who you want that, whose newsfeed you want that to come up in, and that's it. Whereas with YouTube, I might have a competitor that is also teaching people how to create online courses. I can actually place ads on their videos, on my competitors' videos. So it's like they're going to click on, let's pretend it's Russell Brunson or something. He might be doing a how to create a webinar thing. I can literally be like, hello, before you watch Russell, or before you watch this, just click on here and I'll teach you how to create a whole online course to go with the webinar that Russell's about to teach you. Click here, see you there, boom. And then Russell starts talking. I mean, that for me, that hijacking, that ethical hijacking of really popular content and really popular people, even when you're a nobody, is so powerful that I'm buzzing. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, super exciting. So the placement ads for YouTube is actually one of the low-hanging fruits that you can do with YouTube. So it's not even the most, the biggest kind of targeting thing that you can do, because you layer those things with other targeting techniques, and basically you have a really high longevity kind of ad. So for example, for your niche, you don't really change a lot of it, because your system is really, or like what I've seen, like when I first reached out to you, I already mentioned like everything's super tight, the funnels and all of the articles. So your content marketing game is really tight. You don't really need to change a lot. You just have to change the hooks, because of course the hooks will sometimes fatigue, because if people see the same ad thrice, then it won't work. But if you change up some of the first parts, because usually we also have a system in helping people how to create the ads, because like I said, I'm a filmmaker, and I literally have helped people create ads from scratch and also help them with the management. So that's my small team right there. We have
Mm.
the creation and helping you with management. And also because it's a sort of a longer term project, we shoot several hooks and we test them so that even before they start to fatigue, we're sort of swapping them out. And
Mm.
then when it's near fatigue, we're gonna let you know, okay, this ad seems to be, nearing its shelf life. And then we try to think about several new angles and see which other new audiences you can, because of Facebook, that you can build lookalike audiences.
Mm.
So maybe now we're gonna try to going after this specific demographic, this specific kind of people, and then we're gonna
Mm.
tweak the hook for them. But the main lesson, the CTAs at the end, they're all gonna be roughly the same, so that it's not really the same, same kind of work moving forward. But there is front loaded work, because there's a budget that we actually um, ask for clients when doing the testing. So most of our clients, we start working with, they're actually willing to do test budgets for 3 weeks, so 21 days, at least, between $150 and $600. So you're already like doing more than that on Facebook. So for a test budget on YouTube, that's really not a big deal.
I was
So
going to say
this
that
is
that's for a lot of people, starting with $150, that's affordable. That actually sounds quite good, because, from what I've seen on Facebook, to really get a good idea as to who the market really are, who's clicking, who's interested, to be able to test lots of different interests and areas and things like that. $150 is just not going to cut it.
yeah
That's from what I found. I found through Facebook, we've had to put a lot more money into that to
yeah
really get fantastic
yeah
data, like really, really trustworthy data, to be able to scale without the risk of losing money. And
yeah
this,
because it's taking a lot of time if you just put in a small budget. So what you're really buying is the quality data from Facebook and from YouTube. And this is exciting because most advertisers are starting don't really know that yet, that they're buying data, and they're not actually buying
yeah,
the skill of the advertiser, the campaign manager.
yeah.
You're really just buying data, and you're just analyzing it and seeing,
Yeah,
oh,
so
this
that
is
you can
what's
then
working.
tweak your ad
Yeah.
specifically for those groups of higher performing test ads,
Yes.
change the content, the media based on what they liked and clicked on the most, and then you can start upping their daily spend. Now, I've obviously over the last few months sort of found out what works for me, and I know that every single business, every single type of thing that's being sold. I mean, we're going to talk about digital products here because
Mm-hmm.
that's what most of our audience are creating. But for me, like, I found that there has been a couple of winning things that has really, really been the key to me having profitable ads. Like, I'm not just getting my ad spend covered, I'm actually making money after my ads have been paid for. And for me, obviously, there's the important things. You've got to have a great offer. You've got to have an offer that is absolutely irresistible for your target market. You obviously then have to have a great heading, or a hook, as you called it. But for me, what I found is the funnel. And I think what a lot of people do, and what I see a lot of course creators doing, is they create a course and then they just go and do ads for the course. And they hope that once they've paid money for people to click on it, they hope that that person will buy the course. I have found, for me, that a very different model for the ads has worked best in terms of me making profit from them. So for me, I made the ad run to something that's free, because
Yes.
I want an email list. Like, my email
Yes.
list is
Yes.
my ATM, right? Cha-ching!
Exactly.
That is
Yeah.
like, that's really, really what I want. So I've made an absolutely irresistible free offer, which in my case is my free course creation starter kit. Anyone listening, if you want that, just go to
Yeah.
sarahcordiner.com/starter kit. And you can watch this funnel for real life if you want to go in just to see how it works. So they go to the free starter kit, they pop in their email address to get the free starter kit. The second they do that, boom, they're emailed the starter kit. Now, what happens the second they've pressed submit on their email is it pops up a new page called an upsell for those of you that are new to this space. And the upsell then offers them a massive discount on one of my paid online courses. So I give them the ticking clock. You know, you've only got 2 hours to get this. It's normally
Scarcity counter.
$497. Yeah, you can get it for $97 instead of $497 if you get it now. Well, I know they're interested in that course about creating courses because they've just opted into a free course creation starter kit. So that's really important as the first step. Now, if they go and buy that $97 special offer course, they get another immediate pop-up. And that second immediate pop-up then offers them about 5 or 6 of my books that are on Amazon for $30 each, and they can pay me just $27 for all of them. So again, a lot of people then go, well, that's a massive bargain. It's an irresistible no-brainer offer. I'll take it. So what happens then is that whole, just through 3 pages alone, I've now got ads running to a free thing. I'm offering them 2 upsells, which equal 114 US dollars.
Wow.
It's costing me in some cases 15 cents a click. Right. So for 15 cents, I'm paying Facebook. I'm making back $113.75 profit.
You really have your numbers down like with the LTV and everything.
Yeah.
So that's a very advanced marketer. It's telling me that you're really advanced with all of your spending and all of your ads. So this is a person that we also want to work with.
Yeah. And so, yeah, look, for those people listening, I think for me, one of the things that I'm really pleased that I've done is, look, part of me is going, I wish I started doing ads sooner, honestly. I really do. However, I'm also really, really pleased that I waited until I got my system set up. I had a website, I got a funnel, I tested it, I made sure that it worked. And then, now I'm paying these ads. Honestly, I only made a loss for a couple of days before we tweaked and boom, it went straight to profit making. Now I'm in a position where there is unlimited ad spend. People listening, I would say if you're new in this space, work with somebody who can plan that funnel for you, a free thing, a cheap thing, an even cheaper little thing, so that you are actually making profit from every click that you're paying for, so that it's not costing you money to advertise. It actually becomes another income stream in itself.
It actually makes your email list building free, basically, because you recoup everything as you make your ads, because with that first upsell, you're basically making the spend nullified. You're nullifying the spend, but you're gaining an email subscriber. So that's
it's really honestly, it's very, very exciting. And just, going in and looking at the analytics and seeing which countries are bringing you back the most money. We've now got some mixtures together with the interest, the country and the keywords and everything we're targeting, that for every $1 I'm spending, I'm making $10.22 back. I mean, that is 10 times return on investment. I mean, for me, this is why I'm just like, I want to do more. I'm so excited. So with YouTube ads and stuff like that, this is, would you say to somebody, what makes a successful ad on YouTube? Because obviously I'm talking about a Facebook ad here. If you can give some tips to some newbies right now listening who are thinking, maybe I've tried ads before, but I just wasted a heap of money and it didn't do anything for me. Or I'm thinking about scaling up to YouTube ads. What can these people take away today? What do they need to think about, plan or do to plan a successful YouTube ad campaign?
So yeah, for YouTube, usually, like I said, there is the learning curve with doing YouTube ads. So if you're not really confident yet, and this is why we always suggest that you have a different ad stream revenue, because YouTube and Google, because they tend to eat people alive when it comes to doing the settings. This is why if you want to start with YouTube ads properly, you have to have, like what Sarah said already, everything set up. So you have to have your pages, your funnel set up, so that it's similar really with Facebook, where you plant your pixels and you go to the landing page and the thank you page, and people are, you can track what people are spending on, what people are landing on. Those are the same principles basically. It's usually where the difference is really just with the buyer intent. So the biggest thing with YouTube is just the buyer intent. So if you are thinking about YouTube ads, one of the first things that we really recommend is try to see what ads that come up in front of you're always obviously watching YouTube, right? So look at the ads and see how they're doing it. So if you see an ad that actually repeats and they don't care, but it repeats, that's telling you that they're still making a lot of money out of it, and they don't care if you've seen it because they're really just still enjoying the ROI from that ad. So look at the parts of what an ad mentions. Usually in front of an ad, so if you're doing ads, right, and you have all of the things laid out, you have the funnel, you have everything's service delivery, if you're a consultant, everything is working. What you do is you look at the ad. So usually a well-performing ad has these specific ingredients. First is a really great hook that sort of gets you out of your typical thinking. It's usually something that maybe contradicts or maybe actually validates what you might feel about certain thing, about certain topic. For example, in YouTube, let's talk about an ad in a specific, let's say, Amazon space. Usually, people have some conceptions about selling on Amazon, and then sometimes you'll see an ad like, oh, how to do this without this kind of stress. And did you know that you can actually do this without having to do this? So it's something that, again, like a Facebook ad, sort of stops you from scrolling. It's also something like this on YouTube. Like it stops you from skipping the ad. So if you get that hook and you're actually affected by it or you're intrigued by it, that's a good sign. And then you teach a simple lesson. So it's like a small lead magnet, like what you have, Sarah, in a lot of your materials. You have a simple kind of teaching there because a YouTube ad can actually go longer, right? It can actually be between. Okay.
I totally just had to interrupt Shoden right there in that moment because my dog started barking because my police officer husband just turned up with half the station to come and steal mangoes from our mango tree. It's absolutely hilarious. So Shoden, everyone listening, sorry about that interruption. So you were just telling us there about the different lengths of the YouTube ads that you can do, the 5 to 10 second ones.
So yeah, for Facebook, they generally tend to be shorter, but for YouTube, you can do it longer because the whole platform is designed for longer playing videos. Like people actually enjoy 20-minute videos up to 30 minutes as long as it's super packed with value. That's YouTube. That's something that a lot of other platforms cannot and will not actually even want to go head to head against. So, like you don't see really a lot of videos on Facebook that are that long, unless it's a Facebook Live or Twitter or, Snapchat or IG, nothing really goes that long. So for YouTube, if it's a high quality video, you can do that. So even the ads, they actually understand that the ads can actually be longer. So you can make an ad that's even like 2 to 5 minutes long, and it's fine as long as it's engaging and people are actually learning from it. So that's
so would you recommend then that ad itself is actually something educational rather than something promotional?
Yes, usually it's better because again the whole thing about going on YouTube is people want to learn on YouTube. So that's the big thing, like the intention
that's
to
why
learn
they're typing those keywords in, right? They're looking for information and teaching. So making it educational is really, really important. I love it. Look, we are, I could talk about this all day because I am so excited about this, but I know that Shoden, we are going to jump back on at some point in the next couple of months because you're about to create your own programs on this and I can't wait. And I'm so going to be signing up to your course. And we're going to actually see some results from a little bit of promotion that perhaps we might do with my programs on YouTube and your own when it's launched as well. And let's just lift the lid. I'm going to lift up the lid and let's just show people what happens. I think this will be really, really interesting experiment to share with the world and share what we're learning as we go along. Any final words for people before we wrap up this episode today?
Well, yeah, it's super exciting for me to actually even be on this call and even be asked about the product that or the service that I'm doing, because like I said, we are actually just about a year and a half old, and it's working so far. We had some clients with 11x ROAS, but the typical that we have is around 5 or 6. It's not super big, but for YouTube, that's a big deal because it's more expensive on YouTube.
It's a very big deal to get $5 back for every one you put in. I'm taking that. I'm happy as long as I get $1 back for $1 in. I mean, that's breaking even to earn clients. You're getting $2 back for every one you put in. You're doubling your money. I mean, who fancies putting $1 in a machine and getting 2 chucked back out of you? I'll take it.
Definitely. And then also it takes time to, if you are thinking about doing YouTube ads, it takes time for the ads to, like I said, they mature because you're collecting data. And the more, like what Sarah said, the more data testing funds that you actually put into it, the faster it'll be able to sample that big data set that they have. So Google has a huge, even bigger data set than it has on Facebook, because they crawl every single site that people actually go to, and they
Cool.
index everything. So if they actually match it with the user data of the person surfing YouTube and Google,
Oh,
that's a bigger
gold.
thing. But again, it's more expensive. There's some testing required, and we really suggest that you do Facebook first, because Facebook is cheaper for setting up,
Hmm.
and but it's better to do some evergreen on YouTube. So ad creation is actually easier to start with Facebook, but
Get it
YouTube
working
again.
there. Yeah, and then
Mhm.
get ready to move over.
Yeah.
Nice tip. And look, yeah, and again, look, for me, just going through this, I think it's really important that you jump into ads being willing to test, 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 test. Like, it is an experimental process. And the more willing you are to read the data, get analytical. I mean, I've been loving getting geeky and nerdy on this stuff. It used to freak me out, all these numbers. Now I'm starting to understand what it all means. I'm like, wow, like this is real stuff. I mean, this is real big scaling business now.
Mhm.
This is multiple seven figures level business, and
Yes,
it's
definitely.
really, really clever. Well, look, it's been brilliant to have you here today. We're all excited about watching your journey, Shoden. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your tips, and I look forward to having you back in a few months' time and sharing your course that you've created on Concept to Course with us. Thank you very much. And of course, there are a number of things that we have mentioned today, which will be in the notes of this video. Go to the description area. You will find a link to TubeBuddy, which is the analytical YouTube tool that we've
Yes.
mentioned here. There will be a link to Shoden's pages and websites, and of course to my free course creation starter kit as well. Thank you very much for listening, Shoden. Thank you, and we'll see you in another episode.